let people kind of file in and that sort of thing. Again, my name is Mark. So good to see and get to know some of you and everything. And Salem, it's a delight to have you here again. It's with year two and just the work that you're doing. It's always exciting to see what you're doing. The way that I would like to do this, then I sent a number of questions, just a few questions, and I thought, well, why don't we just go through the questions, kind of one at a time, and I'll read the question. You guys can answer however you want, and as long as you want. And then after we go through those 5 questions, if there's anything, or even during the questions, if there's any kind of Q&A or follow-up from here in the meeting or anything like that, we can do that. We can have that time of getting to know you, getting to know your platform, getting to know what do you think of Portland so far right now. What's been your experience, and how are you engaging? Are you able to do that? And I guess, let's see here. I'll go ahead and I'm going to be reading from my text to you.
Yeah.
The first question was, well, let me get my glasses.
First question is, where are my glasses?
Where are my glasses? Okay. The first question is just introductions. Where's home? Where did you grow up? And then what's kind of the icebreaker? What might be a favorite movie of yours? Or perhaps a favorite show or a book or a piece of art that you connect with? So we have your name, where you're from, and kind of what do you like? What's your niche there? And we just want to get to know you a little bit. So as for me, I will put myself under the same question. My name is Mark. I'm from Ohio, and let's see here. Well, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so I keep thinking, do I or do I not have a Lord of the Rings extended version marathon here at Reedwood in December? Should I or should I not do that?
Yes.
Like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the movies, and we'll set it up in here, get the couches ready, and have breakfast, second breakfast, 11Z's. Every time the hobbits are eating, we eat, that type of thing. So those are little areas of my passion. So Woody, tell us a little bit about yourself too. You're not going to be excluded from this.
Hi, I'm Woody. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the program coordinator for QVS in Portland, and I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I guess TV shows that I really like are, I don't know what the person's name is, but whoever executive produced Ted Lasso has been coming out with just such great shows. So I really love Ted Lasso. I love Shrinking, and I really love the new one that is out by the same executive producer. It's called Bad Monkey. Bill Lawrence, everyone. Yeah, so that's kind of my niche. I like them because I think they strike a really good balance between emotional and funny, and I like that. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Salem. I use he, him, and it's pronouns. I'm a fellow this year. This is my second year doing QVS in Portland. I am from Minnesota, and I'd say one of my favorite pieces of art right now is an old radio show turned podcast called Loper's Glory, the Hobo Jungle of the Mind. It's an old radio show where they play a lot of old-time folk music and labor songs and stories of a variety of things. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gabe, from Virginia, just on the foot of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I guess a piece of, yeah, I've been watching a lot of Teen Wolf recently. It has a lot of life lessons in it. Things that are really valuable to see.
I'm Corbin. I'm from Indianapolis. Teen Wolf is already taken. So, I'd say my favorite show that I've ever watched is probably Succession, which is this show about this really rich family and how all of their psychologies are really messed up and they're all really bad people in funny and tragic ways. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Paloma, she, her. I'm from Olympia, Washington, so like not that far. I guess, I don't know, I really like fairy tale retelling, so like I recently reread one of my favorite books. It's called In the Night Garden, and it's like this fucking massive book of like nested fairy tales, and it's really cool and like gender bent and queer and dark and awesome, and yeah, it's a good book.
I'm Edward. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. One of my favorite movies is probably Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which is sort of a family favorite we watch a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you, everyone. We used to live in Virginia. We lived in Newport News.
Okay.
So. Question number 2 then. What was the draw for you about QVS and living in Portland? Were you assigned to live here? Did you choose to live here? And I guess what resonated with you about QVS and, being a part of that? So what do you, this is optional for you because we know that you work for QVS.
Yeah.
But just what drew you in there to Quaker voluntary service and what are your thoughts on Portland?
You gotta go.
Yeah, I guess so. I did QVS in 2017, 2018 in Portland. And on the application, you can rank like preferences for cities. Portland was my top choice because I really wanted to, I think, venture away from home. And I think in the rest of the country, Portland has a reputation of being very environmental. And I had majored in environmental policy in college, so that's why I kind of ventured out here. And I would say it lives up to the reputation. Citywide composting is revolutionary.
Were you in Cincinnati?
I moved out here from New York because I lived there for the summer, but I went to Earlham College, is where I graduated from, and then lived in New York for a summer and then moved out here.
I had kind of a funny route into QVS. I had been studying math at a small liberal arts college in Minnesota. And outside of my classes, I was doing a lot more learning about the history of the labor movement in the United States and coming to realize many things that are broken about this world that I couldn't fix with a degree in mathematics. And so I realized, oh no, I have to do something else. I don't know exactly what. And I needed a landing place where I could do some work that I knew would be important and have like space and time to figure out ways that I actually can contribute to fixing some of the broken things that I've learned about the world. And as for Portland specifically, I think I was assigned it, and I like it here. I don't know.
Yeah, so I was raised Quaker, in Virginia, identify as Quaker. I've worked at Quaker summer camps for most of my life. And so graduated in 2023 with an environmental science degree. Spent about a year in Virginia, just kind of working manual labor sort of jobs that paid pretty well. But then was like, yeah, similar to Woody, kind of wanted to move somewhere new, and yeah, found QVS through my Quaker connections and just was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then, yeah, now I'm here. It's seems pretty cool.
What was your home meeting?
My home meeting was Charlottesville Friends.
I think I found QVS pretty late in the game. There was actually another fellow that dropped out of the program because she got like a Fulbright scholarship, and I was already planning on moving out to Portland because I had kind of settled on Portland as like my like exciting city that I wanted to move out to. And I didn't really have a plan for what I was going to do out here. And then she was like, hey, there's this space in this house that I just created. Do you want to take it? And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And but as far as the service goes, I think I wanted to get out of my head. I think I had been doing a lot of like theoretical, very abstract stuff, and I was kind of tired of that and wanted to do some more experiential learning.
Yeah, I kind of found QVS because I wanted to do AmeriCorps, and then I did a bunch of Reddit digging on AmeriCorps, and I was like, QVS seems nicer. And I think I did rank Portland. I think I did Portland and Philly as my like top two cities. Because like I grew up 2 hours away. I've been to Portland a bunch as a kid. Like Portland is like, when I was a kid, was like my favorite city, and like I've always wanted to move here, partially just because it has like donuts and books and stuff. And yeah, this seemed like a fun way to do it.
Yeah, I found QVS from like a job website. And I applied after college, applied to a bunch of other stuff, and then interviewed with Woody, and she was cool in the site placements that were sort of the options they had were both sort of things that I wanted to do and kind of in the area that I've been looking for like actual jobs. And so I interviewed with them and they were cool, and then it was between Portland and Boston, and my sister lives here, so came here. Cool city.
I love the description, donuts and books.
And composting.
And composting.
City motto.
Hey, guys, thank you for opening up, and I understand the dynamic, you know, you're kind of opening up here, and hopefully we can share more here when we have some Q&A time. So thank you. We do want to go into your platform, your area of service, and what you're doing. And the question is, it's like a primary question, and then there's like other kind of sub questions with it. You answer how you want, okay? But the primary question is, what is your platform, your area of service for this year? The sub question to that is, how does this area connect with what you're passionate about? name some specific ways or stories about how this is happening. So if you have kind of a story as to what you're passionate about, your area of service, and how those two have connected, I'd love to hear it. And then I guess our third part of this question would be, what do you want us to know about your area of service? What do you want us to walk away from knowing? Why is it important to you, and why should it be important to us as well? So just to reiterate, what's your area of service? How does this area of service connect with what you're passionate about? Do you have any specific stories about that connection? And how do we carry this with you as an area of service and a place of importance?
I really strongly believe in that. I think the the meaning of life is finding what your purpose is. And I think that someone's purpose can be as large as you know, getting a Nobel Peace Prize for whatever, or it can be having a small conversation with a stranger that you're never going to see again, and that conversation changed that person's whole life, and that could be your purpose, was doing that. And I don't think that we necessarily know until later on in life and reflecting. And so I think that I do see service for myself in helping young adults find their path and find their, purpose for, I guess, life. Not to say that I think that they leave QVS and they're like, oh my God, I know what I'm gonna do with my whole life, but just like being a stepping stone, I think, in that regard.
My area of service is a little nebulous and complicated to explain. But I'm working with Hillsborough Friends Church this year, and basically some of what I'm doing is continuing work that I did outside of my site placement last year. So last year I was working at New Avenues for Youth, which is a homeless youth center in downtown Portland. And outside of that, I was also organizing a event in Portland that is called Labor Church, where we get together a bunch of folks in a basement, and I teach them to sing songs of worker solidarity and general liberation and rebellion. And so part of the work I'm doing this year is finding, collecting, and finding places to like proliferate that kind of music. I think people singing in a group is an extremely potent activity, and one that has largely been lost in the last 50 years or so. And so some of the work I'm doing is getting folks to sing things. An example of that actually recently is some students at Lewis and Clark set up an encampment to call for a ceasefire in Palestine, and I made little pamphlets with songs for them to sing with chords and lyrics and such, and brought them out to those folks. And then another prong of what I'm planning on doing this year is mending clothes for folks. Like I'll be doing some outreach in Hillsborough, kind of wandering around finding unhoused folks and asking them if they have like jackets with holes in them and things like that that I can fix for them. So that's kind of those are elements of what I'm doing this year.
So I am working at the Northeast Emergency Food Program, which is part of EMO. And my position there is funded by a grant given by Elevate Oregon. And it's to create a food delivery service, free grocery delivery service for anyone living in the grants area of impact, which is like 82nd East. That's still in Portland, all of that area. So it's not a huge area, but hopefully gonna start this program before Thanksgiving of delivering I don't know, hundreds of dollars worth of groceries once a week to people who can't get to the food pantry themselves at times that it's open. And yeah, my boss explained it to me in a cool way of thinking about it not as like giving people free food, but more giving people money in their pockets that they can use for things besides food. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's awesome.
I'm working at a organization called Join the PDX that is it does a lot of different things, but they're all related to kind of alleviating the houseless crisis in Portland. And generally what they do is work with individual adults to help them find permanent housing when they're struggling to do that themselves. And yeah, where I'm kind of working mostly in what they call the day space right now, which is it's kind of the most front facing part of the organization that basically just operates a window for like 4 hours each day and provides like food and clothes and like coffee, showers, a lot of like little miscellaneous stuff like bandages and like Narcan. And yeah, it's kind of just, it's kind of like a service job or like a job in the service industry, except the goal is not, what I appreciate about it is that my goal is not ultimately to help the company that I'm working for, but more to help the people that we say we're helping. And yeah, I think the biggest service that Join provides is kind of a human face and compassion that a lot of people don't get. And that's nice to give that.
I'm working at Outside In, which is a community health clinic. They have like 3 different clinics and they do like pretty much everything. Like they have a youth center, they have transitional housing, they do a lot of medical services. I'm working under Lydia, who's the reproductive health specialist, and doing things like community outreach and providing safer sex supplies, and like running like RH care, which is like kind of insurance that lowers barriers to people being able to access reproductive health care. And yeah, I guess the intersection of me caring is that I'm a person who, like, I don't know, I'm a person who cares, and there's no one in the world who's not affected by reproductive health and who shouldn't be invested in it. And yeah.
I'm also at EMO, but I'm on the public policy advocacy team. It's been really great. We've got like a bunch of issues that we're working on to like different degrees, but mostly I've been working on our immigration legal services priorities and on our youth homelessness and housing advocacy. It's great for me coming from Arizona and the border, sort of studying these things in college. And something that I feel like I can really take back home to Tucson after this, be sort of an asset to my own community. And then it's so something that wanted to do, and so this is a really great way to sort of see if I like this kind of work, and I really have so far. Yeah, and it's sort of also like being from Tucson too, but also my mom's Cuban refugee, so that's been EMO does a lot of work with the Cuban community through our legal services and outreach. So it's cool to be involved in that, that more personal level.
Thank you all. Amazing platforms and areas of service. And before we kind of rush off, away from what all of you just shared, I'm wondering if there's any questions or anything like that here from Reedwood that we want to ask, follow up with what we heard. It sounds like there's some amazing work that you're doing, and EMO is Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, and that's an incredible organization. So I'm pleased to hear that you're plugged in with that. Any questions before we go on to the yeah.
My question is, I'm wondering how many of you are also Spanish speaking? More than one language?
At the food pantry on Tuesday nights, we're Spanish people mainly. That's, so I'm getting better. Not good.
Best way to learn. Behind you to the right.
First off, thank you all for coming on a Sunday, on a beautiful Sunday here. It's important work that you do, but it's also important for us to hear. We believe that we, as a group who attend here mainly, this is my preamble to my question, are intelligent. We try to be integrated into the world, and we try to figure out how we can be best served and how to bring the spirit of God's love and peace in a world that has many broken areas. So as I listen to each of you, I see each of you involved in that work as well. So thank you. But the question I have for you is, how can we support you? We give money to QVS, but literally with each of the jobs that you are in, if we as individuals or corporately wanted to support with time or money, what would be some of the first 2 or 3 things that you have already noticed that is lacking or is needed in your area?
This is for me and Corbin.
Okay.
We need desks.
You need a desk?
Corbin's desk is broken and
We have
mine.
furniture. What's keeping you list here? I don't have my phone.
I'll make a list.
Thank you.
Yes, so
Yeah.
2 desks? Yeah, that are gonna fit taller people.
Large.
Okay.
Big
desk.
Okay.
Like-
Chairs?
Like, yes, but no, but yes. Yeah, Join is always glad to take volunteers in the day space because we're always short staffed there.
In the basement?
In the day space.
Oh, I said
Right.
basement.
No, we try not to stick people in the basement.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah, similarly, the food pantry can always use volunteers, pretty much any day. Particularly days when we're serving people, we have 350 to 400 people that we get through the basement food pantry in 2.5 hours. So we need like 30 plus volunteers every time we do that. But then also I am starting a food delivery service, which conceivably could also use volunteers to deliver food. And so if you are interested in delivering 4 or 5 meals once a week, or like meals, I say in quotation marks, these would be like boxes of groceries. So like probably like 50 pounds, maybe 25, depending on how I haven't completely figured out how to organize all the food, and how I'm doing it. But yeah, that could be a prospect as well in the future.
What days are you guys going to deliver food? Do you know yet?
Don't know completely yet.
TBD.
I know I personally would be delivering probably Tuesday through Friday, about 10 deliveries a day. But then if you have time on Monday, I would probably be fine figuring out a way to have the boxes packed for you that you could come and pick up on at the food pantry and go deliver. Yeah, and I'll probably maybe get in contact with you, when this thing is actually ready to be like signed, for you all to sign up to help with, because that is not where it is at this point. Yeah.
And what days do people come into the pantry?
So we are open Tuesdays 4 to 6:30 and Thursdays 9:30 to 12 and Saturdays 9:30 to 12 in the morning.
And where is this?
This is on 72nd, northeast 72nd. It's in the church basement. If you just search the Northeast Emergency Food Program, it'll come up. Yeah.
So where do you get your food?
The food bank, Oregon Food Bank mostly, and then a bunch of food drives from local churches and schools and whatever, they'll just drop food off. We also get leftovers from Trader Joe's and a bunch of other places, they just give us tons and tons of free bread, stuff like that, yeah.
So potentially Reedwood we could do a food drive to support
Yes,
this.
definitely could, I think the main thing about food that I've learned is that there is enough and we have enough food. It's getting the food out to people that need it, that is the thing that we're trying to do. As effectively as possible.
Salem, do you need sewing supplies and things to support your?
Yeah, actually, if anyone has in particular, like kind of thicker or heftier fabrics, quilting fabrics are beautiful, but I've found that especially on like pants that get a lot of wear, especially if you're living outside, quilting fabric is a little too light for the mending that I'm doing, but samples of upholstery fabric, scraps of like outdoor or like denim is really great. Also like sewing needles and like heftier, thicker thread would be super helpful.
Hand needles is so.
And hand needles.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got plenty of those.
Also, if anyone wants to gather and practice and sing any songs of rebellion or liberation, you know where to find me.
Salem, do you need a sewing machine?
I have a sewing machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We have an extra.
Yep.
Some other ways that you can help are, we often, look for folks who can make lunch for us on QVS days. QVS days happen every other Monday. And those are days that the fellows do not go into their site placement, but instead spend 6 hours with me. And I facilitate workshops on community building, spirituality, social justice, and self-growth. And we need lunch. And I usually buy lunch, but it would be great to have folks who want to make lunch and eat with us and get to know the fellows a bit for an hour. We love that. I can leave my card somewhere and you can email me, or my phone number is on there too, so.
Did you have the lunch idea too?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay.
got it. You're gonna get a big old text from me.
As soon as I find my.
Are there any other questions specific to their platforms? Let's just do one more question. You guys, given and doing great. Let's do this. What is a specific story about you that you want us to remember you by? Maybe, so let's guide that. The time they helped someone, was able to meet a specific need, was able to be present with someone. This doesn't have to be recent, this doesn't have to be since your time here. But what's a time where, what's a story that, you know, you don't mind kind of talking about yourself, or, you know, you can speak, can point to that time where you feel good about. Is there anything that you want to share with us? And also, these questions are optional. If you want to pass, that's, you can just say, I don't want to answer that. That's fine too. Yeah.
So yeah, think I mentioned earlier, I was a Quaker camp counselor, for many years. And a few years back, it was maybe 3 or 4, we would do overnight backpacking trips on the Appalachian Trail. So pretty serious hiking trails, pretty serious mountains, not Rocky Mountains, but they're mountains. And we take these like 12, 11-year-olds with backpacks up on these hills, and one of them, she was a sweet girl, and she sprains her ankle so badly, like half a mile into the hike, but refuses to walk on it for like forever. And I eventually am like, okay, you're pretending like this is broken, but I'm gonna treat it like it's broken. And I like put this girl on my back and have to hike her 2 miles up the mountain, in like 85, 90-degree, 90% humidity weather. It was super gross. But then we get to like the place where she's gonna get picked up and taken off trail and back to camp. And suddenly she can walk again, and she's doing great. Yeah, like
Healing in the mountains.
yeah. I remember being very like, I'm like drenched in sweat, I'm tired, I'm like just dehydrated, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are so happy to be leaving. I remember I was frustrated for a couple days that she had made me do that and carry her up the mountain. But then I got back to camp and she just loved me. She was like, you're the greatest. And yeah, I think it kind of transformed my opinion of something that was really brutal for me in the moment, but was like super impactful and great for her. And yeah, that's a cool story.
I'm kind of torn between two. Would it be okay if I quickly share both? Okay, so the first one is related to my service last year at New Avenues for Youth. I did a workshop, a weekly workshop called Rags and Rebels, where we basically, it was like an open space. People could come in and ask mending questions, and I'd show them how to fix things or fix things for them. And then we talk about rebellious figures in American history. And one of the youth who had been coming in for that, he had some trouble with anger, and I was concerned that he would have a hard time with mending because it can be really tedious and really frustrating. But I was really like impressed to see that he like fixed, he came in with his pants, the drawstring had like come out, the waistband had come undone. I showed him how to do it and he stuck with it the whole time and he fixed his pants. And then a few weeks later, he had gotten in a fight and was excluded from the other half of our day space. And he was having a rough time. And he came into the education space and his like nice undershirt had gotten ripped in the fight, and he said, this is my only undershirt of this kind, like, can you show me how to fix it? And he was having a big headache and he just kind of laid his head on the table and asked me if I would fix it for him. And I said, yeah, will you watch me? And the next time you can do it. And he watched me and fell asleep while I fixed his shirt. And I don't know, just being able to show up for someone and care for them in that way when they're having a really hard time meant a lot to me. Yeah. And then the other one is, I'll try to keep it brief, but at that monthly event I mentioned, Labor Church, it was the last Labor Church before I was going back to Minnesota for the summer. And we have like a little intermission time for people to chat with each other and kind of get some fresh air. For me to rest my voice. And during that time, there was kind of an incident outside of the bar that we were holding it at. Somebody was like harassing someone else on the sidewalk, and one of the Labor Church congregants went and confronted the person and was, getting them to kind of go away. And the whole thing took a while. There wasn't any physical violence, but there was like some pretty intense like verbal confrontation, and pretty much everybody outside was like really rattled and shook while this was going on. I heard folks talking like, once this is over, I'm going home. This is too much for me. And so as things were kind of settling down, I just decided to go back in the basement, but I figured, yeah, we're probably not coming back after intermission. But I'm just gonna go finger pick on the guitar to kind of like get some of this excess anxiety out. And then people started to trickle in and we started singing a couple songs, and then someone requested Solidarity Forever, and then someone else said, well, gee, if we're gonna sing that, I better go get my friends from upstairs. And then pretty soon, everybody who was rattled and wanted to go home, we're all gathered in this basement singing songs together, and we sang for another half an hour, I think. And by the end of it, people were calm again, and I was like, wow. I don't know, it felt like a testament to the power of people singing together. Yeah.
You are like these stories.
Not full for here.
I'm sure this is not a question that you were anticipating. But where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Not a required question. Volunteer only.
Could be a lot of things, but could be in medical school abroad, could be setting up my like third or fourth labor church congregation. We'll see.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe on a beach somewhere.
I literally have no idea.
Hopefully, I'll be a psych nurse by then. That's the goal. We'll see.
Yeah, my plan is to go back to school and then after that. I don't know. Somewhere at the beach.
Good choice.
I have one more question, sorry. Yeah, for Edward, Edward, at the end, you mentioned that you did immigration policy in Arizona as well. I was wondering what aspects that you really liked about it in Arizona that you'd like to bring up here in Portland, and or vice versa.
That's so I studied Latin American studies in college, and I was mostly focused on immigration policy the way I sort of did it. They're very different places, right? Because Arizona's a border state and Oregon is here. So they have very different sort of relationships, you know, different. Like the federal stuff is the same. There's like I mean, there are things that don't apply to Oregon that do to Arizona, you know, but the stuff I've been working on is I was working, so one of our big bills is in funding legal services for refugees and immigrants, which is something I did in Tucson, working at a law clinic that was also run through a church, similar to some of EMO's programs, and the like what we're doing here isn't stuff that you could do in Arizona, right? Like it's possible, or there's like the political will up here to put money in things relating to immigration that in Arizona, everything's going to, or a lot of money is going to things that have to do with the border, like the physical, you know, the actual process of immigrating, and then for people who are here, they're kind of getting left behind in Arizona because that focus is just on, either making it easier to come in or harder to come in. And like, that's where that physically happens. So that's the big difference. And then things here are, I think, generally more progressive as well. Or yeah, on hold.
Guys, well, thank you so much for coming and sharing and helping us know you a little bit, and I hope you know us a little bit more, whenever you think of Reedwood, and just this kind of time and experience, and just grateful for your areas of service, your willingness to just share and tell some stories and let us know what you're about. And I love this kind of practical follow-up ways that we can support you, whether it's taller desks or food drive or thread and needles, you know, anything like that. Just helps us to kind of come together a little bit more as a community to surround you guys and support you. So thank you so much. So let's give them a round. And thank you, Woody, so much for all that you do and just connecting everyone. Really appreciate it. So, well, I don't know if we have more cake or what, but I know I have my broken up piece over there. So I'm gonna finish my cake. Feel free to mingle, and friends, thanks for coming. Good to meet you. Good to see you. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
Someday we have a lot of. Yeah, I like their bells. We have to hear you tell some stories.
Yeah, so,
I'm like.
campground, right, but it's right on the work side, but so the trails are up here. Just like me.
Just see him doing it.
If I go to Wednesday, they go down.
I know.
See you all next time.
Really popular, but somehow. What's about good ones?
Oh,
Yeah. You don't care.
yeah.
I mean, we're gonna do You go there in the fall. Yeah, I was thinking about to that. We're here. It's always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring up the desk.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was saying it'd be something like the East Coast, especially like the Shenandoah Valley area. It's like pretty much
Oh, yeah.
everywhere. We're in that.
Silly.
Yeah, it's interesting. A monument that really.
Sorry about that. Me and my silly ideals about governance and everybody, but it does create some. So, thank you, sorry. Thanks for coming over, appreciate it. Sorry about it. That's good.
Yeah, and I've been answering to that so many times that sometimes I just have to tell them.
I don't know.
Yeah. What's your name? Lloyd. Lloyd.
So last night.
Got it.
It's not, this is like personally, keep that.
They've got teams.
That I'm not going to go to the beach. Went to the beach. On my time. Oh, yeah. I'm not after I get to
It's very meditative.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm gonna be more of my newspaper.
Thank you.
Godspeed, math, getting certain people math free.
Uh-huh.
And the rest of us are. We got through.
Not this one.
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
Yeah, whatever reason I got that.
So it's an interesting.
I was just repeating it.
Take a direction into human relations. Which don't lend themselves to mathematical analytical brains.
I gotta go.
That's cool.
On the website, so.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So.
Try.
You're good. Farming out there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, quick, voluntary service people, whose drink is this?
It is.